Hello everyone, today I will be reviewing The Best Years of Our Lives. So The Best Years of Our Lives came out in 1946 and was directed by William Wyler, and this film focuses on three World War II veterans who are returning home and struggle to adjust to their new lives after having fought in the war for the last 3 years. The first of the three men, his name is Al and is played by Fredric March, and he returns home to his wife and two kids, and he finds that his two kids are talking about things that he didn't realise they were interested in, and he finds it a bit strange, and he also generally struggles to fit back into his old job where he worked at the bank. We also have another character called Fred, who's played by Dana Andrews, and he's returning to his wife, but it's finding that he is struggling with his relationship with his wife, and the two of them don't really seem to like each other anymore. Fred as a character is also interested in Al's daughter Peggy, which becomes quite interesting later on, and also Fred also really can't find a job, or at least can't find a job which pays very much money. Now the third of the men, who is probably the most interesting of the three, is played by Harold Russell, and this character unfortunately lost both of his hands in the war, so he has hooks in places of the hands, and he comes home to his girlfriend Wilma. He obviously finds that he's really struggling to adjust to being back home, and that everyone is sort of looking at him strangely because he has hooks for hands and is just generally struggling with being back home and almost wants to be back in the war again. So what this film really does focus on is how the lives of these three men have changed after the war, and how they struggle to adapt to this new environment, because they all seem to realise how much has changed since they left for the war, and now they've come back, they all find it really difficult. What this film does really well is make it such an insightful and relatable film for lots of people, because obviously still today there are lots of people who go away to fight in a war and then come back and struggle and often have dreams and thoughts about what was going on in the war. And we get an excellent scene actually with Fred when he's asleep and he's having a dream about the war and is shouting in his sleep. He obviously can't get this image of the war out of his head and the struggles that he went through. One of the things that is interesting about this film is that Harold Russell's character Homer, he has hooks for hands, as I mentioned, and Harold Russell actually in real life did lose his hands in the Second World War in a ship explosion, and Harold Russell himself was not actually an actor before this film. He was not actually a professional actor, so they actually chose him for this film because of his experiences during World War II. And I have to say, given the fact that he's not a professional actor, he does a very good job in his role, and he's by no means the best actor in this film, but he does a very good job of fitting in. I did find it slightly a shame that he doesn't seem to be credited quite as highly as the other two guys in this film, so he doesn't get quite as much screen time as Dana Andrews and Fredric March, but so I suppose I can forgive it for that, but it does seem as though, given that this film focuses on the three men coming back from the war, that it would have included Harold Russell's name on the poster, but then again he wasn't a well-known actor, so maybe that was why, I'm not sure. Having said that, all the actors in this film are very good. One of the main standout stars is actually Teresa Wright, who plays Peggy, Al's daughter. She gives a very good performance in this film, and she almost brings out a different side to Dana Andrews' character, Fred, and their relationship is really interesting throughout this film. We also get an excellent performance by Virginia Mayo, who plays Fred's wife, and her character, Marie, she is obviously very happy to see Fred when he comes back, because she thinks that, yes, now I can show off my husband and we can all go out on the town and all dress up nice and go out for nice meals. But then she isn't happy when she finds out that Fred doesn't have a lot of money and is going to struggle to actually hold down the job. And Fred's old job was working serving ice cream, which obviously didn't earn very much money, and now they can't go out and do the things that they like. That aspect of their relationship is really interesting to see as well. So this film did very, very well at the Oscars, actually won the Oscar for Best Picture. Harold Russell, who plays Homer, he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and actually also won an extra special honorary Oscar. So if you include that, this film actually won 8 Oscars altogether. Now this film did come out the same year as It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, and this film won the Best Picture Oscar instead of It's a Wonderful Life. Now when I compare the two films, I can see some similarities, but I personally prefer It's a Wonderful Life. I think It's a Wonderful Life is a superior film. I do think this film is very good, but I personally believe It's a Wonderful Life should have won the Oscar for Best Picture. I just think that nowadays It's a Wonderful Life is still a very well-known film, so perhaps at the time I reckon that this film would have been more relatable and much more people would have appreciated this film than It's a Wonderful Life, because obviously this film came out shortly after the end of World War II, and this film was actually very successful at the box office, and it was the most successful film since Gone with the Wind came out in 1939. So it was obviously a film which lots of people went and saw, and I can certainly understand why this won the Oscar for Best Picture. So this was the first time that I had ever seen this film. It wasn't a film that looked particularly interesting to me, and I have to say I enjoyed it much more than I expected to. And it is a fairly long running time in this film, 163 minutes or 2 hours 43 minutes, so it does go on for quite a bit, but I didn't find it boring in many places. I did find that the pacing was very good. There was always something interesting happening, and I think it's just the mix of the characters in this film which really shake things up. And as we focus from the 3 different men who have fought in the war and these different sets of characters, it really keeps the film interesting, because I suppose it's almost 3 different storylines, although some of them do intertwine slightly, obviously, because the characters know each other, and it just means that the whole film is set out really well, and it just keeps the film moving, and we as the audience are interested in these different sets of characters. And yeah, as I said before, we get some great performances, so that certainly helps. So overall, when looking at this film, I'm going to give The Best Years of Our Lives a rating of 8 out of 10, although it probably would be a high 8 out of 10 if I'm honest, because it is a very good film. I'm just not sure I can recommend it for everybody. I'm not sure that this type of film is suited for everyone, but I can certainly appreciate for what this film is trying to do and the story it is trying to tell with these 3 different characters and how they adjust back to their everyday lives. So if you haven't seen The Best Years of Our Lives, please check it out if it sounds like your kind of thing. Well, there we go. So that is my review of The Best Years of Our Lives. So what do you guys think? Have you seen it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Please let me know down in the comment section what your thoughts are. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.